Let's just give one final call to everybody.
I think we should have speakers, right? It's like if you're able to basically announce like presentation on blah 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 is starting now.
All right. So while the other guys are joining, so how all this started was, I think Rajesh quite a few times was asking me to just go over some of the tools that I've been using, and he was saying maybe it's also good to know other tools that people are using. So what I did was I went ahead and put together a lot of different tools that I was using and why I was doing that. Then I realized that after going through that entire presentation myself, that there's no connection between those tools or why I'm doing that. So I took a step back and I said, okay, let me come with the purpose of why I'm doing that. So overall, it was basically to improve the efficiency, and that's sort of the note. But I put together all of this in the last couple of days, so it'll be a little bit random. Some places might be a little bit more philosophical of what I am looking at and how I feel. Others might be just a bunch of different tools. So observe whatever you want and note it down. And if you want a demo of those tools, just let me know. But right now, I'm just going to ace through all the different things that's out there. And if at any point of time, if you feel the topic is boring, just wave to me and I can just keep skipping because there's so many different things out there. Okay. All right. So this is how it starts. So the way I look at life is a good balance about what you really want to do and how effectively you can actually do that. So you can look at it in a broader perspective of anything for that matter, whether you want to do it as work or part-time or all of that. And finally, I think it connects back, after all this, you get some sort of satisfaction and then you look at the purpose of life, or rather the bigger picture, right? And this particular presentation is about this part, which is doing it efficiently. So whatever you want to do, whether be it small or be it big, whatever, it's about how to do it efficiently, right? And the way I have presented this is, so 10,000 hours is what? It's a very famous thing, right?
The amount of time it takes to get really good at something.
Master at a particular.
Exactly. So I sort of dissected that and then saw, okay, every day you spend about 8 hours sleeping and then 4 hours goes in other stuff, like eating and reading and stuff like that. So you have another 12 hours left, right? So if you use that as a core activity time, this 10,000 hours is about 850 days. So 850 days doing exactly the same thing again and again and again, and mastering a skill is not quite practical, right? And I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys sitting here will actually train a computer to do that skill within that time, right? That's exactly how it is today. So why look at it that way? Instead, try to reduce that time with the use of techniques and tools, right? And this is sort of the model in which I feel it works for me as to how you do things efficiently. There's three things. One is managing the time that you have, and within that time, organizing all the stuff that you have, and then sustaining your motivation to be able to do this. If you do all of this together, then it sort of ties into the goals and the bigger purpose that you have. So let's start with managing time, right? This is nothing but a typical week that I have. So I have 5 what we call work days and 2 weekends, right? So I tie it around something that I want to do. So you can assume it to be something like be the world's best coder or create a $100 million company, or it is that one big thing that you've all signed up for. So this big blue chunk of the 5 work days is primarily for that particular goal. And these 2 days are totally for a different kind of a focus. So you can do different things like take your family out, mastering a new skill, and so on. So the focus is completely different in these 2 things, which I firmly believe in the beginning, right? And from that, I try to derive my time. And this is a very common framework. I think we all operate this way. At least it's there in the calendars. And then once you do that effectively, what I realized is you give your 100% here or 200% here, and that makes you look forward to this. And you give your 100% here or 200% here, that makes you look forward to that. So that sort of strikes a good balance between both. And you also get your reward, which is sustained motivation, right? Motivation is a very hard thing because you cannot keep yourself motivated all the time because there are different things going around you. But for me, if you have this perfectly and it runs well, and if you're able to give your 200% here and there, then this cycle sort of forms, and I strike the balance there. And let's get one step further. Let's take from a week to a day. The way I ration my time is that I have my core activity, and apart from the core activity, I want to do three things. One is fitness, the other one is catching up on stuff, and the last one is the one that I have as a variable. So this is fixed. That seems reasonable. Now this is a little bit of a variation. Now I have to juggle between this. So I alternate between every day, between learning a new skill and family time. So my focus varies, but I think my priorities are clear. So my time sort of marries the goal. So there, at that level, everything looks okay. Now let's get one step further. Optimizing the core activity. Now this is exactly what I do here. This is the one big thing I've signed up for in life, and that's what I want to do the first 5 days of that particular week. Now, given that the high level time and the high level goals are married to each other, now I don't want to touch that anymore. Now this is what I have in hand, and the question is how effectively I can optimize this piece. So I realized that here what I do is a combination of some things that I have to get done by myself and some things for which I need others' support, which I call as team or collaboration time. So for me, I figured out that if I split this and if I create focus times wherein I can create my focused individual time to a certain percent and focused team time to a certain percent, then I'm able to dedicate some kind of work for this and some kind of work for that and get them done much faster, instead of having one big block and trying to do both at the same time. So I figured out that it best works for me in the morning, so I use 9 to 11 as that time, and then the others later, or sometimes I do it at home also, but this is the way I look at it. Now you could look at it in different ways depending on work timings. It slices this way and that way. But the first step is to be able to identify as two different times. Now, so the point is basically not about 9 to 6. It's about 9 to 6. How much more can you do? That's the challenge you put yourself against, right? So you have the big goal, you slice it, and you come to a point where you figure out, okay, this is how much time I will give for this goal, and within that you squeeze every bit of it, right? There are different techniques to do this. This is a very common technique called Pomodoro. It's about thinking about big pieces of time in smaller chunks. So Pomodoro is split into, let's say, a small Pomodoro is something like a 10-minute piece of work. A big Pomodoro is about 50 minutes piece of work, and you have a short break and a long break. So instead of thinking of your day as one big 8-hour chunk, you start thinking about it as, let's say, 2 big Pomodoros in the morning as soon as you come, which is 50 minutes and 50 minutes. Then you go for a lunch break, which is, let's say, a medium Pomodoro, which is about 30 minutes, and then so on. So you slice all of this, and then you start allocating work to these chunks. So you say, okay, for this big piece of chunk, I want to do this, and so on. There are these physical tools, which is like a tomato timer. So you just turn it around for a big Pomodoro, and then it reverse clocks to 50 minutes, and then it rings. So it gives you a sense of that logical checkpoint you're creating yourself. Now, how does this really help, right? So you've broken down the big chunk of time into a small chunk of time, and you've signed up for something really small to be done within that time. Maybe the first day you crack it. The second day you'll want to shoot for something more than that. Then maybe you don't. The third day you sort of crack that. Then you sign up for more, and then you incrementally improve. So this tool helps you do that at very, very small levels. Now I follow a slightly different technique. I don't use laptops, and not that I hate them or anything, but the way I look at it, the form factor of the device clearly messes with the stuff that I do with it. For instance, this piece of machine helps me focus just on work while I am here. And when I go back, I've replicated this setup in a particular room so that if I have to do anything related to this, I have to walk up to that place, open it up, and then work on it. But if I had a laptop, what I would have done is I would have clearly opened it wherever I was, tried to do something while I was doing something else. So that pattern sort of messes with my focus when I'm trying to do something. So the form factor of a laptop is somewhere in between work and play, and it doesn't do a justice to either. So I decided, okay, no laptop, maybe an iPad, maybe a big device, but do one thing at a time and do it at 100%. So that way it helps me focus on that one thing that I'm doing. So I'm able to clearly answer to myself whether I can do something or not. So that's a technique. So finally, this is the point. Efficient use of your core time is nothing but productivity, right? So I'm going to slightly shift into a bunch of different tools. Right now, it's just going to be this tool that does this and so on and so forth. So it might be a little bit of shift in the style. But what I'm going to try and do is I'll give you an example of how I use it. If it's interesting, I'll deep dive. If it's not, I'll just keep proceeding. First one is an iStack menu. Well, you can also look at it over here. What you have is at the top there are a bunch of different icons here. What this gives you is one single picture of how your Mac is doing. So the first thing after you buy a Mac is people will come because you're clogging bandwidth, right? So you can just hover on something and then show them what the bandwidth stats has been for the past 1 day, 1 week, and whatnot. So within this one single piece of widget, you get so much information regarding your storage, your CPU, your memory, and everything and so on, right? So it gives you an idea of what's happening in your Mac. And of course, there's a missing calendar, which I don't know why they never built. This is a feature that Windows always used to have. So you can just hover on that, just click on that, and you can just use a calendar. Right? Okay, Moom is actually a very nice tool. The Mac was always built with these 3 buttons at the top left, and somehow they were not as useful as it was seen in the Windows. So this tool called Moom, what helps you to do is you can just using a couple of buttons, just move it around like that, left, right, and then fully. So it gives you the ability to quickly do things on a Mac, right? Yeah. So you can actually with just a press of a few buttons, you can quickly align things on your screen so that you can immediately have your setup in that particular way. Okay, Alfred is actually a nice utility. It's almost a replacement for your Spotlight, just that it can execute much more than what a Spotlight can do. So what I've done is I've rewired a command space to the Spotlight, which gives you a small box in the middle of your screen. And just like a Spotlight, it can actually go find different files on your computer, and it can directly go and look for stuff on Google, or if you just say define something, it directly gives you the stuff and so on. But what's even more cooler is that it can execute workflows. So I can actually say open Dynamo, and what it would do is it would open up the terminal, go to the folder, check out your code, stash all the stuff, and then make sure everything's there, fires up the server, then opens Sublime Text and just keeps it there. So you can actually do all of this in a series of commands and put it as a workflow. And when you suddenly want to switch context, just say fire Dynamo, and this will be ready for you. If you want to switch to design mode, just say fire bridge, and then that will be ready for you. So it makes it easy for you to switch different contexts, and that is very useful with this tool.
See demo?
Demo. This was an old one, but let's see what happens. Yeah, I think this will happen. So it executes a series of commands. So let's keep going. So clocks is another useful utility. You can see clocks over here. You can set up a few different clocks, and let's say somebody says, okay, 11 a.m. Seattle time, there is actually a demo right now. So it's pretty neat that today, right now you can see that it's about 3:52 a.m. Just click this and just keep moving it, and then you can see, okay, that's 11 a.m. So that's 2 a.m. in our place. So you can quickly just slide around like that, and then see what is the time.
See,
I can't see it. Yeah.
we can use Google for say what time is in Seattle, but the other feature, right, which is okay, it's at 11 a.m. what time it will be in Seattle. I mean, that is something that needs some calculation. Sometimes you may make a mistake, especially on the daylight saving and all.
Yeah. So you can look at anything. You can just turn this knob here, and then it keeps tweaking the other clocks, and you can quickly see what time it is. Right. So that's okay. This is for anybody that works with copy text and stuff like that. You want garbage text to just take somewhere and then put it like an example stuff. So you have this tool called as Little Epsum that sits at the top of your menu bar. So you can just say I want 3 words, 5 words, 4 sentences, or 4 paragraphs. Just click on that, and the text is copied in the buffer. Just paste it somewhere, you will get that copy text. So it's useful for you to create copy content anywhere, which is example text that you can use anywhere. Okay, so QuickTime Player we have always used to watch movies and watch videos, but there is a nice ability which is for screen sharing. Screen recording. So if you want to do a podcast, a screencast and stuff like that, you can actually say new screen recording and record a bunch of different stuff on your computer, and it records with audio.
Praveen, with screen recording, problem was I was trying to do screen recording, but it was not taking audio.
Okay.
And then there was some sound flaw and something. I tried to set it up, and it says the author is some errors, and it was not.
Okay,
working out.
we can check it out. In fact, the Mixpanel screencast was done using that. So
Is that a paid upgrade?
No,
It's always free, right?
Free.
It's
Not-
intuitive.
I mean, QuickTime is free.
QuickTime is free.
The others.
So tell us when things are paid. Okay?
Alfred is paid.
No, it's like how much. It's good to know.
See, productivity account doesn't come free, right? You have to pay.
Okay,
iStat has a free version, but there is a paid version also.
I think everything is paid right now. No, I think everything is paid right
Had
now.
a free version. I think
Alfred is definitely paid.
Alfred is free. Okay, this one I think is about $20 or $10, something around that, $10 or $20. Moom was $10 about 3 years ago. I don't know how much it is right now. Alfred is you have a free version which doesn't have workflows, but if you want workflows, it is $29. CC Meno, I don't think they've started charging. Okay, CC Meno is one of my most favorite tools, and I don't know how many of you guys are aware of this, but you should all have it. So it's actually a small green, or rather a small icon that sits in your menu bar, but it's capable of monitoring all the pipelines in Go. So you don't actually have to look at it at all. Just open it, say what pipelines you're interested in, and it just keeps polling all the information, and it'll tell you the result within 5 minutes of any activity happening. And it gives you a nice notification also at the top, so you know what exactly is happening. You can disable, enable, depending on what your priorities are. Clocks is paid, I think it's $2. Little Sum is free. Is free. Automator is free. Okay, Automator is an inbuilt Mac app, and it helps you automate a lot of different things. Even as simple as if you want a shortcut to be able to open a particular application. Let's say I look at the calendar very often, so I do Command-Shift-C to be able to set that, and that doesn't come with a Mac, right? So just open your Automator and say you want to launch an application, and just save it there. Go to your keyboard and say when I hit Command-Shift-C, open that service. That's as simple as that. So with the power of Automator and the different other things, you can automate quite a lot of different things to make the Mac do it for you. Peak hour is I think $10 or something. Especially when you're at home and you want to keep a check on your router, not at the system level. You don't know how many people are using it at home, and you're worried about the throughput at the router level, or you have multiple devices. Peak hour is an app that helps you to monitor all the remote devices. So if you have multiple devices at home, it gives you an aggregated view of all the different devices. Okay, self-control is an interesting app. So I read about this and then downloaded it. So one fine day I wanted to use this because it said if you don't want Facebook, Twitter and all that, just edit in the blacklist, and then it said it will block all the notifications for whatever period. So I tested it out, I put all that and then said 1 hour and then said start. Then checked out everything, it didn't work. So I said, okay, fine, it's working, let's stop it. And then I couldn't stop it.
That's awesome, right? It's like a feature.
There's really nothing you can do to come out of it.
That's what I'm saying. Wonderful.
Yes. And then I went and read about it. They said it doesn't matter whether you restart your computer,
Yeah.
whatever.
Restart
break it.
also.
Even it is a Chrome plugin. I've used a Chrome plugin version. You
can't
delete
uninstall-
Chrome
Yeah.
and then open also.
Install the app.
Yeah.
No, you can't.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It just goes and changes your. It doesn't matter. It just says and when you say Facebook.com, it's not your browser that is stopped. At the network level, anything related to Facebook.com doesn't come. So even your right side notifications, right?
Even if we
All this
uninstall
won't
this thing also.
Try it out.
Okay.
No, I think it makes changes to some core files.
Yes.
Maybe the period is it changes the core files.
Right. So it was cool. So if you like it.
This is more useful if you can do this to others.
Others.
It's not so useful with you.
It's not self-control, not understanding.
Okay, so let's say you have a good control of time, and then you sped up things, and then you have made a lot of these things. The next problem that I used to face is chaos. Too many things coming in at the same time. Let's say I've managed to find time. I want that 1 hour to do this thing, but in that 1 hour, there are so many different things to be done. So if you organize them, you get a clearer picture of what to focus on, because one, you don't end up searching for it. Two, you can predict where something is. Naturally, you do it faster. Okay, let me give you a simple example of Gmail, right? We all check Gmail. We're actually doing some work. We are writing a piece of code, and then suddenly, okay, let me see if there's new Gmail, right? Now you hit that Alt tab or Command tab, whatever that is. Takes a couple of seconds to go there. Then you hit Control tab to go to the right tab. You check it, and then your actual reading time comes, and then you again do Command tab to come to your old screen. So this actually takes 2 seconds plus 2 seconds plus another 2 seconds when coming back, apart from reading time. So there's actually 6 seconds spent on going and checking if there is new Gmail, which actually contributes to nothing useful for that particular day, right? And you do this close to 15 to 20 times per day, so keep it 15, that's about 90 seconds. And once in a while Chrome crashes, so you get to log in. So add another 10 seconds there. So that's close to 2 minutes per day, right? And just sit down and do nothing for 2 minutes and you'll know how long it is, right? So that's close to about an hour every month. So in that 1 hour, you could do something new if you really wanted to. So it's a choice. If you really want to squeeze the time out of every single minute, you have to organize stuff, and that will give you value over a longer term. Let's take the same example of Gmail. Look at this screen. You have a simple tab called Mail tab that just comes there and just goes. It's as simple as that. It's always present. It gives you desktop notifications. You know when it's there.
300 milliseconds.
Which one? Right.
Wasting 300 milliseconds.
Right. So that's 6 seconds minus 300 milliseconds, right? That's how much time you were able to save in a small activity such as just checking your email, right? If you're able to save that time in such a small activity, then if you're able to focus your energy into thinking about bigger things that we do, there is big opportunity to be able to organize stuff and save time, right? So this again is a tool that gives you different views, either whether you want a mobile view or a bigger view at the click of a button, and it's universally present, so you don't need to have Chrome open with Gmail all the time, right? So that's a useful thing to have. The next thing, I have experienced this spamming of mail alerts, right? When mail alerts come, I feel like somebody is trying to tell something to you, and then you try to open it and you figure out, okay, this could have possibly waited. And then it keeps happening over and over again, and then you sort of get frustrated saying, okay, out of all the 10 emails I checked, I just had to respond to just one. So it's about organizing those emails to make sure that you get only the right messages, and the other ones can actually wait till you can go to work next day. So I started creating a bunch of different things. Most people call it as a VIP list. A VIP list is a list where you set the right filters so that you get only the most important messages that you care for when and those that you need to immediately respond to. So it can start as simple as a filter like this, which basically means tell me only when there is a mail that is addressed directly to me and not to a group. So that's what that filter means. You can extend it to ignore other updates and categories and promotions and so on. So what this means is you will be disturbed only when you have to be. And then obviously unsubscribe ruthlessly from unwanted stuff. And then you will know when your cell phone is beeping, there is somebody definitely wanting to talk to you. This is another interesting thing, waking up to emails. So I've realized that when you wake up in the morning, your mind is so clear, and it's almost like a vacuum. You let something there, it beautifully floats, and you have time for creativity, you have time for absorbing new things, and it can almost absorb something new when you give something to it. So sit down, have a cup of coffee, talk to somebody, you're in a nice state of mind, and it sort of gives you a unique opportunity in the morning where there is nothing that's bothering you as yet. So it's a choice as to what you want to put into that space. And what happens as soon as you start looking at email is everything related to that starts occupying that space. Now you have to do that and fight with it and then do the rest. Or you can focus your energy into what you want to be able to do, finish it, and then give your 100% to emails. So this is one of the effects that I felt, and I don't do that anymore. Okay, this is my favorite tool of the lot. It's called 1Password. Okay, It actually sits right here as a very small utility. It's a safe vault that has military encryption. So everything that's sitting behind this is extremely secure, right? So you have one master password that protects all of this. And once you get in, it gives you a simple snippet as to where you want to go. Now, this is also present in the browser, so it sits right here. So let's say I type that, click that. Let's say I do IRCTC. Let's say I do that.
Wrong side.
Let me say. So it automatically populates everything, logs in, and then takes you right to your next page. Right? So you never ever get to type what your credentials are. In fact, I don't even know what they are. And right now, I'm actually using all the credentials that I've accumulated so far. But the way it starts understanding your credentials is every time you sign up for something, it automatically understands that you have actually created a login to some account. It immediately absorbs it and saves it for you. It takes the icon from that website and puts it as a icon here, so that as soon as you go, everything is actually archived. So this is just an example of logins, but this can actually track quite a lot of different things. So let's say I open one password. This can track logins. It has secure nodes, credit cards, identities, passwords, and it has quite a lot of different things it can do. And you can organize them using different tags. So I have all my index related stuff here. I have different native and instrument related stuff there. And then the cool thing is you can do a security audit, which means it tracks all your passwords. So anything that's more than 6 months old, it will tell you what they are. So you can go and change them. And when you change them, it also saves the old password there. So you know what are the old passwords that were there. And when you're generating new passwords, it's almost like that. So you basically, these are how my passwords are. So it generates those passwords, saves it there, and keeps it in the context. So when you want to go to a site, you don't type it in Google Chrome, but you just type it here. So it goes to that site, it knows which URL to go to and all that, and it absorbs everything automatically, right? And the beautiful thing is it sits on your phone, it sits on your iPad, it sits on all your devices. So you do this once, it's everywhere. And it does the same thing even in an iPad. So you open one password and you hit IRCTC, it opens IRCTC, logs you in, and you're ready to book the tickets. And yeah, what was the previous two that's possible? I forgot to tell the price. This one I think is 2,000 or 2,500 in Indian money. If you want to buy it for your family, it's a little bit discounted. I forgot what was the tool.
350, 60,000 budget you are saying.
Yeah, MailTab Pro, right? MailTab Pro I think is $2 or something like that. That's one. Okay, Todoist. Todoist again is subscription based. It's $1,000 per year, I think. I don't remember. It's definitely but it gets a lot of stuff done. I'll tell you what. I love this tool because it really connects with all the different use cases that I have. First thing is it understands dates in a human way. So when you enter something new and say Wednesday, it parks it exactly for the day that you want, or you can say next Wednesday or next Friday and stuff like that. And then you can also say things like starting next Wednesday every 2 weeks. And then it'll put that activity there, and then it will remind you every 2 weeks after you're done. So let me see if I can open my. Okay, that's my to-do list. So I can have my periodic commitments, my shopping and travel, and stuff like that, which goes into it. And then it keeps reminding you about different things. And what's nice is you can go to the search bar here, and you can say, show me what's overdue for the next. Show me what's there for the next 30 days. And it'll just give you a list of things that you need to do for the next 30 days across all the projects. So I usually do that for home because we do it as a, as a family, we share stuff and we do all the things. So I just go to the home folder and say for next 30 days, and it gives me, just hit a print and we stick it on the wall and just strike it using pen and paper. So although everything is digital, it gives me the opportunity to take it back to pen and paper, which is how things actually get done in collaboration. And of course, with my wife, we are able to have the same to-do list, and I'm able to share this particular project with her. So we're able to use the same list as a shared list. So this tool actually gives you a good combo of the basics plus the advanced features, so it actually gets stuff done. And there's another cool feature of this, which is mostly all the videos and all the links that the stuff that I get from all of you. It mostly comes around. I mean, it doesn't exactly come when you want it, right? It comes when people are reading, and then maybe you're doing different things. So what I do is I directly say forward to Todoist, and Todoist actually puts it in a different project called check out these new things. So every time there is new stuff coming, I just send it there and I forget about it. So it's there as a to-do list for me, along with the link and any information that anybody must have said. So over weekends, just go over the list and just watch each video or article one by one. So it can also archive everything through email. So you can just send to it and it'll save it for you. Okay, Keep is my documentation. It's like my quick diary. It's a tool from Google, and it's actually built into your Google Drive. And they don't actually expose it directly unless you say google.com or drive.com/keep. So it's pretty neat. I can show it to you. Okay, so it gives you just multiple card-like view. I mean, this is quite small, but if I probably have this here, you'll get a better view of it. It gives you a different card view, and you can tag and do different things. So the usefulness of that is, because you can create it right here, you can just open it and write it as a note, and it's immediately available for you right here. So after discussions, you can just take a picture of that, just tag it with a particular color and stuff like that, and then come back. And when you're working on it, you don't have to worry about taking your mobile. It's already in your Google Drive. So you can just pick it off that and just start working. The next tool is obviously Streak. I think a lot of us use this. The only configuration I wanted to share is this kind of a view that I created for myself that I find very useful. So what I have here is the upcoming marketing and design kind of stuff. This is my personal list. There is the open positions that I'm tracking, and then there's everything else. So when mails keep coming from here, I look at the important stuff and then I put it into one of my lists. So it gets done, and my goal is to be able to clear this out within a specific period of time. So all of this is actually collectively created, out of which my list comes out. So Streak is really good at doing that. You know how much Streak costs, right? So I don't have to get into this. Okay, Splitwise is a very nice utility that you can use with friends or anybody that you want to track accounts with, right? So let's say you go as 5-7 members, and then you have common spending. One person spends so much, the other person spends so much, and all that. And end of the day, you want to know how much that is. Or let's say you're planning a trip, you spend a lot of money, and then you come back and you want to pay each other. This is a really good tool because it tells you who paid and for who you paid. And end of the day, you can just settle your accounts in one single shot. Feedly is my most favorite tool.
So one point here.
Yeah.
Though if you add this tool, right, you'll not have lost. I mean, we went for a street.
That was deliberate.
No, whether you have the tool or not, people
People have to pay, right?
you get reminder whatever.
Yeah, that's true.
So Feedly is my most favorite tool to learn from the internet because it gives me priority on what to look at and what not to look at. So you can actually dump a bunch of different URLs into it, and it will bubble up the most interesting stuff for you. So you have to be able to observe this once in a while and cut out the stuff that you don't want. But in most cases, it gives you a nice digest of stuff that you can actually read in the morning and almost know everything that's happening. I don't have to explain Twitter, but Tweetbot is a nice utility that puts it in 3 different lanes depending on what your interests are. You can create multiple lanes and all that. But in general, my principle is this: to be able to keep away from spam. There is a lot of different things that we keep adding because one leads to the other and so on, but ruthlessly remove stuff that we never read. So I'm trying to use a different kind of an analytics to say what are the blogs that I actually don't read at all and are there in my Feedly, and then you can actually do that programmatically and remove it from Feedly. So what that does is it helps in giving more brownie points to the stuff that you're reading, and then that gives you much more useful information and less time searching for useful information. And obviously, the benchmark for me is in 30 minutes, I should be able to complete all the stuff that I should be able to get. So that's the benchmark that I have, and with that as a baseline, I keep removing stuff. Tumblr is what I use to annotate the web. It's a replacement for Delicious, according to me, because it's a little bit more rich in how you can see it, and then it gives you different tags, and I like doing that in parallel. So how I do that is there is a tool called IFTTT. It's about automating the web. So the way I've made it work is when I'm reading something on Feedly, if I just say save to bookmark, it actually takes that and posts it as a blog in Tumblr. Or if I'm reading something on Twitter and I say this is a favorite, then it actually takes that and posts it as a blog in Tumblr. So I can just later go to Tumblr and say, okay, this is regarding visual design, this is prototyping tools, and so on. So it gives me a nice digest of what I've been doing so far. So when I need these tools, I can just go back and just get the list immediately. Okay, Google now, one of the coolest features I noticed in the recent past is that they've launched this, the ability to track packages. It used to be available in the US, but I don't know how many of you noticed. It's not in this example, but if you have ordered something on Flipkart, and let's say it's actually on the way, if you look at Google, this one, Google Now, which is a small bell icon that is sitting there in your Mac, it actually shows you the Flipkart information right here. So that's a good. Right, so this is my basic principle. Let's say there are so many different tools that can actually help you, but make sure that these tools are pushing the right information to you instead of you having to go to them. Okay, so we spoke about two things. One is managing time and organizing all the stuff. The third one is about sustaining focus. How are you able to keep this going for a long time, right? I've dealt with this in a very, not too much actually. There's a short term and a long term thing that I look at. Short term, fundamentally the way I look at it is if you have the right balance, like I said, for me, I'm able to sustain that focus for a long time, but that's in an ideal condition, right? But it doesn't happen always and there are disruptions here and there. So in a short term, you tend to reward yourself with something that you're looking forward to. It can be as simple as that you've had a really long day, okay, look forward to a glass of beer at the end of the day. That's what matters to you. But that incentive sort of keeps you and helps you to push and then recharge and then get back. But in a longer term, I think this is balanced with the goal setting and the other stuff that I'm really not covering in this particular topic. But I started with those two as the primary things, right? The purpose of what you want to do and then how efficiently you can do. How efficiently you can do also matters with the long-term sustenance that you can have. Can you actually identify this handwriting?
Sanjay.
Yeah. So this is the 5F model that Sanjay came up with. So I've heard this from him personally as well, and I follow this and I use this as a way of keeping myself motivated because it helps me see the bigger picture. It helps me put down things, track it, and then move towards it. And once you are able to reason out all that, it helps me keep that, it helps me sustain that motivation for a longer time. So, which is why I wanted to briefly cover about this topic. I would encourage anybody interested to go read up on the web and then talk to Sanjay also. He'll be very happy to talk to you about it. So resources is the next big thing. Everybody has limited resources, right? Be it whatever it is, time, money, whatever it is, it's all resources. So let me look at money in the first place because everybody gets limited stuff. And if you want to keep doing new things and keep experiencing new stuff, you want to be able to manage that money properly. So Mint is actually a very, very good tool. It's a free tool. It's actually meant for US, but it also works for Indian banks. What it does is, once you create an account in Mint, it asks for your bank details. So if you're able to wire in your bank details, it immediately pulls all your bank transactions and it annotates them. So if let's say you spend something at a restaurant, it actually says you spent it on food and dining. If you spend something on clothing, it will tag it as apparel. So at the end of the day, it gives you a beautiful analytics on where you've spent your money on. So that gives you a picture of how your spending is, and you can also create budgets with it. So everybody lives on, let's say I want to spend so much on my car, I want to spend so much on my clothing, I want to save so much and so on. You can take a monthly budget and say, this is my budget. And every month, Mint will track your expenses based on that. And whatever is going out of it, it will clearly tell you. Now that is the feedback that we all want, right? So apart from all the things that I have planned, where is my money going? So you can use that to be able to go back and tweak your budgets. So that way you can squeeze the maximum out of whatever resources you have, and it also helps you get the goals that you want. Goals also is part of Mint, but I'm not going into the tool as yet. I don't have the time for that. Okay, quickly shifting on to music. I'm going to talk about music in two different aspects in this session. Music, one, is my mood booster. I always use it as a way of generating energy for myself. It's a great companion. It pulls me out of the lows and different. It's a good companion. Let me put it that way. So I'm going to talk about music as a good companion, how I discover music, how you buy music, and then how you can actually get it to play everywhere. On the other hand, I'm also later going to talk about music as a skill that I am trying to learn without any other help. So it's basically an experiment, and I'm trying to learn it very fast. So how that happens. Okay, Spotify is more of a belief system for me. It's not a tool. I learn a lot from Spotify because one, obviously the design is very good, but apart from that, the way they've come up with this ecosystem is amazing. How many of you use Spotify? Awesome. Okay. How many of you use iTunes? Alright. How do you discover stuff in iTunes? How do you discover new music, even other than iTunes?
In the store.
Search
Okay.
the store.
Genius.
Okay. Alright.
Genius doesn't work.
So let me tell you how Spotify does this. Spotify has 4 different kinds of, let's say, entities. There is songs, there's albums, and then there is playlists, and there is one more. Yeah, there are users. So the difference here is actually playlists, and that's why I love Spotify. Playlists are so much more valuable than albums because somebody has actually sat down and put together similar kind of music, and they give you an appropriate name so that you can relate to that music, right? And there are thousands and thousands of playlists on Spotify, and they are all categorized and curated well, right? And that's the best way to discover music. So let me show you around. Let's say you go to browse. Fresh music for the entire Friday afternoon. So they have music that's appropriate for Friday afternoon. That's how cool it goes, right? So when you go down, you have that category list which is based on genres and moods. Right? So you can go into like a party and you can go and work out and click on party. You have party-based playlists. So let's say I have fresh dance tracks. I can open that and just start playing it, right? So it just starts playing. That's it. Now, if you're a paid user of Spotify, you can actually download this directly to your system. Which one?
It actually doesn't work in India.
Which one?
Spotify.
Yeah, I have a US account. So.
Works.
You have to do IP addresses.
You
right?
have to do some
Even Mint,
Tricks.
I guess you can download the app.
You can.
You can?
I
don't think
the iOS doesn't let you. Android does.
I mean,
I'll talk about that
in
once.
iOS also. You can change your store to US and then download.
Yeah, I think
and change
yes.
back.
But you need to have a credit card. A US credit card.
No,
Set it, I guess.
you
Yeah,
can
the only
just
thing
take,
about Mint is
you need
that
to have a credit card which they can swipe in US. A Visa credit card. is
so
not-
everything will show
You need
up
an international credit card.
in Mint. Everything, all your money will show up in dollars. It's a literal replacement of your rupees with dollars, not a conversion.
That would be a feel good factor.
Exactly.
So if you spend 2,000 rupees in eating, it will say you are spending too much in restaurants.
Yeah, I get emails like it says.
I wonder what will happen with my alcohol budget.
It actually tracks that.
Yeah, it does.
It does.
So, I
Okay.
used to use it in the US. I stopped using. I didn't know it works here.
It's very good. So
But,
okay, so you have these playlists, and when you search for something like, let's say you like Bollywood music, let's say. It gives you artists, it gives you albums, and it gives you playlists. So let's say you go into a playlist called Bollywood songs, right? And then you like the way this playlist is curated. You just add it to your bunch of folders. That's about it. So every time somebody is putting stuff here, it directly comes to you, and it also notifies you what the songs are. So if you look into your playlist, which is right here, what do I make this small? Okay, it shows you numbers here, which helps you identify what are the new tracks. So if you're closely monitoring like new songs in Kannada or new songs in Telugu, you can just look at that number and just see, okay, what are the new songs? You like it, take it, or not, just leave it. So every day it just gives you the new additions, so it's much easier for you to discover music. And you can keep them within your folders and then fire them up depending on what your context is. So this is just a bunch of different playlists that I like, so I can just put it into folders and keep it ready for use. So what happens is as soon as you add something, add a song, or and it's not like pay per song. You just pay for a month, and then the entire all the music on this planet is available for you to use. So there's no limitation on what you can actually do. And then you can directly put it on your phone. So you listen to something and you favorite it. It's immediately on your phone. You go to your car, you can start listening to that. So that's why that connectivity and the discovery is what I really love in Spotify. Now, when you come to iTunes, it does a good job of giving you the actual song. You can actually take it and then distribute it across devices. But what it doesn't do is it doesn't give you a good mechanism to discover stuff. It can do it does similar songs and tries to give you something related to that, but the curation part is totally missing in iTunes. Right? So let's say you actually have I don't want to go into match, but before I go into that, Bowtie is a very small app. So let's say you're actually working on something and this is how your screen looks, right? Instead, what you could do is you could use this utility called Bowtie, which is right there. So now that's all. That becomes your player. So you can work on stuff that keeps it's right there in your screen. Now in this screen it looks really big, but this is how big it is. Right? So it just stays there, and then when it just shows you the album artwork of what's playing, irrespective of what the player is. You play it on Spotify, you play it on iTunes, it just takes the album artwork and just shows there. You can also use it as a mini control by clicking it and then switching songs right there. So that's that. And Double Twist is actually a good app that helps you merge both the worlds. So let's say you're a Spotify user and an iTunes user. Double Twist helps you sync both of these. No, I'm sorry, not Spotify. If you're an Apple user and you have Android, it helps you take the entire Apple ecosystem into Android. It's not Spotify. Right? So then if you're using Android, then you have Spotify, then you also have iTunes, then you have all your songs. Okay, Sonos is my favorite gadget. May not be the best app, but my favorite gadget because it takes all your music and it plays wirelessly wherever you want. So it's just a device. Just take it around, plug it into a power a plug socket, and you're all set. So it'll start playing music wherever you want. So these are just a bunch of different speakers that these guys manufacture, and these apps run on any particular device that you want. So whether you have a phone or a computer, they are just remotes. So using that app, you just turn on the speaker and you can just go away from that place. The speaker will just keep playing whatever you want it to. So it is a mini computer by itself, and it has the ability to do what you ask to do. And the simplicity of that is what amazes me, because what happens is when I bought it initially, my mom she likes music, but she doesn't really care about what to listen and stuff like that. So what this allows me to do is it allows me to automatically start playing a particular playlist at 6:30 in the morning, and then it keeps playing, and then it shuts down at 8 o'clock by itself. So between 6:30 every day, I get to curate my stuff on Spotify from wherever I am. I can choose whatever songs that is, and then the next day it will play for her at 6:30 in the morning and stop by itself at 8 o'clock. So a combination of Spotify and Sonos gives you the ability to play music. Now, Bluetooth dongles, just like the ones that we have right here, gives you the ability to expand your zone. Right. So music as a way of learning a new skill. Right. So learning a new skill involves three things, according to me. Right. It requires focus, practice, personal discipline, and creative feedback. Now, I'm going to use this example as a way to show how I capitalize on my strengths and don't care so much on my weaknesses. So when I started learning music was, I think, close to 10 years ago. So when I was in college, I bought this first drum kit and I was trying to play with it, and I went to this instructor who wasn't really the best person, and I didn't really choose the right person. So I didn't progress that much. So after I came to work, I switched to a better school, but what I couldn't do was I couldn't give enough time for it because I kept traveling here and there and I didn't make progress. So what I did was I bought a drum kit at home. I started playing it with whatever I could give myself as creative feedback, kept kept doing it. After a certain point, I realized that my hands were much faster than my feet, and I couldn't progress any further. So one, I could have gone to an instructor, then I could have fixed my feet, but that would have taken close to a year or two. But what I said was, okay, chuck it, capitalize on your strengths. So I moved on to this instrument called as a cajon. This cajon is actually here. So what this does is, this is a percussion instrument. You sit on it and you play. It has very little feet movement, but it has a lot of hand movements, right? So you still get the feel of playing percussion, and then you also get your result out, right? So then I realized, okay, it's actually the beatbox inside my mind that's playing a lot more than even my hands. My mind is moving at a much faster pace than my hand. So I moved on to remixing music, for which I bought a different console, which gives you the ability to drum using these synthetic pads. So I started using the speed of my fingers to be able to produce the same music, and it also gave me the ability to record them and create music out of it. So then I started adding a little bit of keyboard and stuff like that and so on. So I use this as an example to say, I also hear this from different people, but it's given me great results in capitalizing on your strengths rather than fixing your weaknesses. So two major things that I follow. One is changing behavior is about starting small, and this article that I have here, maybe I'll share it later. It's a nice blog about how it says even the biggest things like getting up in the morning and then going to the gym or flossing your entire all the teeth and all that, how it's so difficult because it's a drastic change we have to make, and it tells you how to approach it by just starting small, and then very quickly you can actually convert that behavior. So I was very impressed by that blog, so I thought I should keep it here. The other one is, because all these three different things, focused effort and creative feedback and ruthless discipline, all of these are very aggressive things, right? So they tend to max you out at some point because you're like trying to give 100% all of the time. And sometimes you just draw blank. You can't do this anymore. So you just slip away once in a while and you're all by yourself, and it gives you that time to recharge. So I find it as a nice way to just go out, get recharged, come back, and then you fire again. Okay, all the other apps that I have, I'm just going to speed through them. This is the last part. It's about just having fun. They have no major intent, but it's just about having fun. So this is one cool app that I have. I love this because every day in the morning, as soon as I don't know how it does it, but I come here, I park my car, I get out, I have this notification from Time Off. I open the app, and what it does is it goes through all my social activity in the last few years, and it sees what I have done on this day, last year, the year before that, and so on. And then it finds if there is something interesting and just shows me. So this was done taken 2 days ago. So in fact, 1 year ago, Index actually gave us an iPad. Everybody got one, and I posted it there. And 4 years ago, I had actually done a Sarusor, which is like a big bike ride. It's about 1,600 kilometers in a day. So I had posted about that. So it gives you the nice opportunity in the morning just to look back and see about some things that you might have done, and you just cherish it for a minute. We also use it in a different way because sometimes you post stuff along with friends. So when you look at, in fact, I sent one to Rajesh when I think it was 3-4 years ago back when we went to a trip. We had actually taken a picture and posted. So it said 4 years ago, and it showed a picture of Rajesh and myself and with a few of others. So I use it as an opportunity to just connect back with some of the people that I've lost touch with, because it gives you a nice moment to share and then fire up that conversation again. So I use it as a nice tool to revive talking to old friends. IFTTT is an awesome tool. It helps you automate a lot of different things in life, and if used very smartly, you can eliminate a lot of mundane things that you do every month or every week. So this is how a leaf calendar works. What we did was we created a new account, and have you heard of this tool, IFTTT? Okay, it's basically if this then that. That is what IFTTT means, right? So the concept is if something happens, then do this thing. That's what it basically is. So we created an account, and we said we wired up the Index account, and we said if there is any new email to leave@index.com, just pass on the stuff to Google Calendar, and Google Calendar automatically reads the subject and puts that person's name over there. So it's just a simple rule in IFTTT that's actually doing all the magic of adding the person to the leave calendar. There are a few other things that I have configured in IFTTT. basically this is an example of how I archive all my credit card statements or anything related to automated bills and stuff like that into a single location. So this is an example where it says if there's any email that's called Standard Chartered credit card, then save it to my Google Drive in a particular folder. So every month it just goes and sits in that particular folder, so I don't have to go to my email to see the statements, right? Now this is a good example of saying, okay, I've lost my phone, I don't know where I kept it. So you just say volume up and then it shouts where it is. Now these
Sorry,
two,
what is it?
How does that work? Yeah.
this one,
Whole thing.
like this one.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, this one is this is an example of Wi-Fi based alert, and this is an example of location based alert. So I've said anytime I come in here and anytime my phone connects to Index Wi-Fi, mute it. So it understands I'm in the office and it just mutes it. This is a location based. It says whenever I leave Index office, turn it up back to 100%. So I don't switch any of this. As soon as I come, it goes to silent and then.
No, other one. Turn
This one
volume up.
This is when you text volume up to your phone from another phone, your phone will ring. Let's say you forgot it inside the cushion, you're searching for it.
Right.
You can ask for Kishore's phone and say to your number, saying volume up, and then your phone will show.
It's true. It's a very useful thing.
So you're configuring
It's
all
like
of
the
this in
best
the
thing
web
in
app.
the presentation.
No,
I couldn't say that, but it's totally awesome.
Okay, maybe this you.
You're configuring all of this in the web app.
Huh?
You're configuring all of this in the app, web app.
Yes, it has a web app and your mobile. Maybe you'll enjoy this. So this is my favorite. I did as a pastime hack. So what happened was I went home and then every day I go in. I have to get down and go ring the bell, and then the maid will come open the door, and then I have to go. So one day the bell did not work. So I got out from my car and I was just ringing the bell, and then the lady never came out. So I thought, okay, why do I have to do this every day? If I'm coming here every day, I'll just make my Sonos sing something, and I'll say every time this song is playing, come open the door because I'm outside. So that's what I thought. So I said, okay, let's see if IFTTT can do this. Every time I go home, let's say Sonos fires. But by then I realized the bell was fixed, but my hack was halfway through. So I converted into saying, every time I arrive at home, let Sonos play music, right? But Sonos is not wired to IFTTT, so there is no connection between the two services. So what I did was, I used this app called Life 360, which detects your location, and it's basically a small network of your family, and it can send SOS signals basically. So I said, okay, every time I'm leaving Index, send an SOS signal. So IFTTT knows, and IFTTT tries to publish a WordPress blog, and that blog actually fires another signal to a Raspberry Pi sitting at home, and the Raspberry Pi talks to my Sonos and plays music. So now when I go home, this thing automatically happens with this sort of a wire. So that's what this rule is. You can change the Raspberry Pi to something else, but yeah.
So you can't pull your wife into saying that I'm just.
Sorry?
You can't pull your wife in by saying that I'm just leaving.
I have another thing. In fact, now she asks me, sometimes she's just watching the TV and she's like, why the heck do I have to listen to music when you come home?
There are some benefits and the anniversary example you were giving, or some example.
Time hop.
Time hop, right? I mean, so I think you should talk about that.
So yeah, I think we got engaged on the 10th of June, and this June 10th, I wished my wife saying, okay, it's been 2 years since we got engaged, so happy engagement anniversary or whatever it's called. She said, wow, that's so sweet of you. But wait, was that time hop? Is what she asked.
Right? I think if you share to-do and all, right, you can't say that, oh, sorry, I forgot. Anything.
Yeah. She doesn't like this. Okay, so this is actually the Life 360 app. What it does is you can actually wire up all your family members into the Life 360 app. So you can actually say this is my family and then this is my extended family and so on. You can configure all of that. And it's not about social networking per se, but if you're a disconnected family and you want to be able to politely ask for each other's location, it gives you the ability to do so. So it sort of tells, okay, this is where this person is, don't worry, and stuff like that. And in case of an emergency, you just push one button, it just calls everybody at the same time, saying this person is having an emergency. So it's built around that, but you could misuse it. Like
Glimpse is also like that.
Which one?
Glimpse.
Okay. But one alert I've actually configured in this is, so as soon as I leave, I pick up my wife, she works at ThoughtWorks every day. So she has to exactly come and stand at a point when I start from here and all of that. So as soon as I leave this, this building and I'm out by like 500 meters, it immediately notifies her saying Praveen is outside of Indic's office. So she sort of uses that as a signal to time it and then come to that place. So we don't have to keep in touch for that minute by minute thing. Okay, Google Photos. This is one of the sexiest apps that the mobile has ever had, but it's not marketed in the right way at all. So most people don't even know what this app can do. Now this is just a plain Photos app. It's just your gallery, the photo gallery that comes in the Nexus 5, which Google has built. And what it is capable of doing is editing photos like a professional. It gives you everything from saturation edits to curve edits to specific point-based edits to different tones, HDRs and stuff like that, all within just this console. You can do the very basic like Instagram-like stuff, or you can go under the hood and then change all the curves yourself and create everything. Now, I used to do exactly this during my bike trips. I used to travel all the way, take all my pictures, put it into Lightroom and then process one by one. But now I have so much fun just taking the picture and processing it right there. So these are some of the pictures that were done, edited using this software, and all these were done in less than 2 to 3 minutes. I think Sriram was also there. So this picture was shot, and then once you started editing, you could see this output in like 3 minutes or so. That's how long it takes to edit this picture. If you had to do this in Lightroom, it would have obviously take the same amount of time, but you'll have to come home, set it up in your computer and do all that. But this gives you immediate editing and pro editing. What it also is good at doing is videos. So I think the what session was that? The fun session that we had the other day, I sent some videos and all of that, right? All of that was made actually on this phone, and it takes hardly 5 minutes to take a particular, to create a particular video. All you need to do is just select all the videos, go select a particular song that you want from this list, whatever song you want, and just say create. And when you're looking at it, when you're looking at the video, you can actually keep swiping and changing what kind of a video you want. You want cinematic, you want dramatic, you want like a lo-fi video. So you can keep changing the mood just by swiping, and it just happens in runtime while you're watching the video. Once you're happy with it, just give it a title and just say export. It will give you one HD video that you can project on the TV or anywhere you want. So all that can be done just in this one phone. And what makes it even more cooler was the first time it actually happened, I didn't do the video. It did it by itself and showed it to me. So this app knows when you're actually at an event because it figures it out based on the metadata. So let's say you go out, we go to MGM, we have fun and all that, you take all the pictures and you go back home. What it does is it uploads everything to your Wi-Fi, to your cloud using Wi-Fi. And overnight, Google analyzes the data and it understands that you've actually been at an event. It creates all that video for you, and then next day morning when you see your phone, it says, we have a video for you. I think it's called an auto awesome video. And once you click it, it starts playing. And it's still in an editable format. You can keep swiping and changing all that and then finally export it to a HD video. So it makes all that for you and it presents it to you as soon as that particular event is complete. This is another cool feature. Just like making videos, it can also make stories. So story is actually a sequence of different things that's put together like an ebook, but it's actually interactive. So we went to Yerkad and we came back. It understood that I actually went to Yerkad and it was over 2 days. So it put all those pictures together. It even tracked my location, so it was putting it on the map and showing me all that. And all of this can immediately be shared. Just hit share and send it to somebody. You can view it on the web also. So everything is put together by Google and it automatically presents it to you without you having to do anything at all. Okay, this is the next one. So this is called Zoom In. So this is my new way of sharing albums. So it's actually called a flipbook. So it has all the pictures of the trip that I go and visit. So as soon as I go and come back, I log on to Zoom In. I just put the best pictures inside. I say I just want a book like this. It'll sequence it like this in all these different formats. And you just say print. It comes home in 2 days. This costs about $200. That's it. And I realized that this is way more effective in terms of sharing it to everybody than sharing it as a digital. 10 years ago, when you sent somebody a digital link, everybody was curious to open and go through one picture at a time. Today, nobody cares. So you send them this, they cherish it. And what I've started realizing is instead of magazines, I started replacing them with flip books. So when guests come home, instead of looking at magazines, they actually keep looking at some of the trips that we've gone to, and there's a nice conversation that starts in the living area. So this site is also very powerful. It can create professional albums like this. I made this entire album out of this website. No photo editing, nothing. You can just go and just use their own tools, align all the pictures, just say print. You will get a professional album like this. Just check it out. I was amazed when this came. And I think I spent about 8 grand for this. You would spend close to 10 or 12 grand outside. So it's still cost effective too. And you get international grade quality paper. Apart from that, Flickr is a tool that I use for all my backups. So I used to do professional photography, so I had to save all my raw files, and every file used to be like 30 megs. So that means you're talking about gigabytes of data for every single shoot. So this is a cheap backup. It for about $20 a year, you get unlimited storage.
It's free now.
Which one? Flickr is not free. They give you 1 terabyte of storage free. Flickr is not free.
No, 1 terabyte
One
is free.
terabyte
That's-
is free.
How much does one need? How much would be your data footprint? I'm just
No,
curious.
for all of us, 1 terabyte is more than enough. So Flickr is free for us, but not for him.
So one shoot might go.
I have a $20 account, but it's free now this year.
One shoot might go about 1.5 gigs or 2 gigs. So that's how many pictures I upload for a particular shoot. And over time, I've got so many hundreds of albums, including all my family pictures and everything. I used to use Picasa, but very soon I moved out. And Flickr has been rock solid for the past 10 years. So
Problem was uploading for me.
yes.
How?
So when you use Lightroom, you have a direct service. So as soon as you import into Lightroom, you're done with all the editing. Just one button, everything goes to Flickr into the set that you want to. So you can put different folders and organize everything there. If that is not there, you have to use a tool called Flickr Uploader. That's not good. So
How do you search?
It's very painful, sir.
no, you just archive everything under folders.
So if you had to say, hey, that photograph that I took, there is no. That's a very interesting use
The
case.
date wise,
It's
Date
date,
by date.
location, everything is by date, and it has
Just-
the folders. That's about
Just
it.
storage. Yeah. That's all.
It's a very good use case.
But for $20, you
Search
get
for
unlimited storage. And yeah, this is for video gamers. If you have a big screen like this and a small device like this, you can use this app called Reflector. We used to use this for the gaming here. So you can actually play something on your mobile, but it's shown on your big screen, so that you can actually use this mobile as a controller, but look at the screen and then enjoy your video game. Or it's even for your movies and anything.
I use Apple TV also.
What is it?
Apple TV also.
Okay. So, yeah, the last part is about keeping the tools handy, which is all about the mobile. Right? So the first example I had is, I should probably show it to you. Yeah, let's say. I just do that.
Before that,
So it connects to my phone, and it's actually, my phone is connected directly there. So I can, it's not even hooked up by wire. So I can open that, I can do all that. I can view my message, I can view my photos, I can transfer stuff, everything that's available, and my phone is not even connected to the computer. So you can just open it and do all your stuff and play. So that's called Android.
no, it's like you use an Android with, but everything else is Mac based, right? Rajesh was just mentioning this the other day, right? That
Satya was
Satya was mentioning. So
So I don't feel, usually people ask me that, how does both the ecosystems work well? I've not found a problem at all. The only pain point was my music, where for my remixing I cannot use Spotify, so I had to use iTunes. I had to download stuff off iTunes and then source music from there.
Right.
But again, Double Twist solves that problem of giving you the Android experience and also giving the songs the actual files for me to be able to remix the stuff. So that's the only pain point, but that again, Double Twist is there, so I don't, and that has AirSync. So
Okay.
as soon as you download something in iTunes, you say buy, it syncs in your iTunes, then you open at Double Twist, and you don't even have to connect your phone, it's there on your phone already. So Spotify puts it on your phone, everything is there, so you don't even feel a pain point. That's Android. Aviate. Aviate is a new home screen. And see, but for the actual, to be very honest, but for the Mac, the iPad or the iPhone, I haven't really been, haven't been awestruck with whatever developments has been happening there for the last 2 years because this space has tremendously evolved. I'll show you even this Aviate. This used to be like a startup. Now Yahoo just bought it about a month ago. So what this does is this is your home screen. This is, it lives with the concept of 3 screens that all you will need. So this is your home screen. This is your contextual screen. So this keeps changing depending on what you're doing. And this is all your different apps. So mostly this is like the primary thing that you do, like you're calling who you want to do. So all your call stuff. Usually I don't keep the call stuff here because if you just swipe like this, it just shows you all the contacts and the recently called stuff. So you don't need that. So you can keep the most used widget here, which is like a to-do list or turning off Bluetooth, turning on Bluetooth kind of thing. Now what's there on the left screen? Oops. I've shown you an example of a work screen. Now this screen automatically comes up as soon as I come to work. It knows that when I connect to this Wi-Fi, I think it does it based on that. But as soon as I come to work, the screen becomes a work screen. So everything related to work automatically comes here. It's intelligent about identifying which apps you use at work and it starts bubbling up the priority and keeps lining it up here. And I've basically said, okay, show me email over here. So it'll also show the calendar automatically. Now the other side is basically all your apps. But it doesn't show you a mega list of all your apps. It basically segregates all the apps into the purpose. So if it's music, utility, social, and so on. And it just gives you a bunch of different categories like that. Now going on to the context, I mean if you want the mega list, you can also hit the top button and then use the mega list if that's what you want. But the contextual screen is the most interesting thing. I don't know if you can read this. It says today, moving, music, listening, work, and nearby. So that are all the different contextual screens you can get in this space, and that keeps changing depending on what you're doing. Let's say you suddenly plug a headphone to listen to something. It will automatically switch to music, your album artwork starts coming here, and your music sources start coming here. And whatever is playing sort of starts coming here. Let's say you start moving out, you are going in the car, this starts becoming your moving screen, where your Google Maps, your restaurants, and all of that starts coming here. So it's very contextual. You go into a movie theater, this starts displaying information about like a Satyam or Lux and stuff like that. So it's very contextual. So you have your primary screen here, which is this one, and this becomes your contextual screen. So everything you need is always available for you. Now this one again within this.
Do you physically drive the car or like?
Of course. So this one again is a contextual screen within today because depending on your time it starts doing different things. So if it's your morning time, it starts suggesting your morning routine of reading your blogs and stuff like that. But if it's your night time, it starts showing like set an alarm, go into sleep mode and stuff like that. So it basically puts out all the different utilities from the different apps and just shows it to you at the right context because otherwise you're like, oh, where's the app? That. So you don't do that anymore. You open it and it's right there for you depending on that. Okay, this is a small utility. This is, I think we're almost at the end. This is a small utility that is for transferring stuff to your Android. So it's called an Android file transfer stuff. Nothing like iTunes or the Samsung keys or anything like that. It's just a simple protocol. Copy, paste, and it's there. That's it. So you can use this for all your transfers. This is for again having fun with music. If you like messing up with music while you're traveling. Pacemaker is like a nice fun app. So you put music on your iPad and then you can basically spin all these wheels and you can get club style remixes going on the fly. I had last 2 slides about travel. So these are 2 apps that I use. I think Mayank recommended me about Meru. So I use Meru and Uber. So what these are useful is, let's say, I'll give you a good example. I wanted to go pick up someone from the airport and really got stuck in a traffic jam. So you just open up Uber and you know where exactly your cab is. So you just say request pickup here at the airport and that person directly goes there and picks your guest and comes over. So it's really useful when you want cab right this very instant. So between this and Meru and even Ola cabs, right? Between the 3 of them, if you suddenly need a cab, just open up your mobile and just ask for one. You can also track and see where your cab is coming. So that kind of a utility is really nice if you want to. The last one is about.
And I never got a BMW, man.
If you complain to
See,
So,
yeah.
trying to
It's
get
a
most
black
of us.
car. Okay, it's the BMW is not a promise. It's going to be a black car. That's it.
No, you get Innova, white Innova,
Technically, it is
Toyota Corolla, and all these things.
The last one is about train tickets. Most of us use IRCTC, but this one from ClearTrip, I don't know how many of us use it, but ClearTrip actually allows us to do bookings for trains, and you can do it on the go, and it's way more faster than IRCTC. Okay, this answers the question of Mint. So one mobile is an equivalent for Play Store. So this is what I really don't find in the Apple ecosystem. There is only the Apple ecosystem. You have to download stuff only there. But in the Android ecosystem, just like Play is a platform for downloading stuff, there are other platforms that allows you to source apps. And One Mobile is one of the biggest platforms. So Mint is probably not available on Play Store, but you can get it from this store. So stuff that's not available in India, but is there only in US, all that can be overcome by using this particular platform. Last one is sleep. So if anybody is interested in fitness and sleep tracking and stuff like that, this allows you to track your sleep. So that's one small utility.
Not effective.
End of the day, my point was if you're able to inspire yourself, motivate yourself, and keep achieving all the stuff, it ties back to the bigger purpose, which is your goals, right? And end of the day, you keep doing that and achieving your balance, then it comes back to the very first thing of what you wanted to do. That's what it is.
That's all flukes.
Very cool. What's your annual budget on apps?
5 lakh. 5 lakh rupees.
He manages via Mint, so he knows how to optimize it enough, right? Alright. Most of us don't even know how much we spend on that.
5 lakh लगेगा पूरा agreement कर देंगे.
What? I don't know.
5 lakh रहा हूँ. पंद्रह दिन మొత్తం. Sonos itself is like equal to 1.5 lakhs.
Sonos
Right?
is not like Sonos is like your TV home theater that you buy. It's not like he's going to spend on it like every month or
So
every year.
we
No,
still
it's
have
not
the
like-
old CRT TV. We don't. Nobody watches TV at home. Instead of that, Sonos.
Yeah, that small dibba, you know,
No, he has-
55,000. You know that?
No, it's not.
You put one Sonos in every room, it costs 3